All episodes of A Trial by Podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only. Much to their parents' dismay, neither host is a lawyer, journalist, or investigator. Just two people with microphones and Wi-Fi. All actions discussed are alleged, and all parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. For the full legal mumbo-jumbo, check the show notes.
For nearly 50 years, Gisèle Pelicot believed that she was living an ordinary life. A long marriage, grown children, grandchildren, and a quiet retirement in the south of France. But in 2020, a police investigation revealed a truth so unimaginable that it would shock not only Gisèle and her family, but the entire world. For almost a decade, Gisèle's husband had been secretly drugging her with powerful sedatives, leaving her unconscious night after night. While she slept, he raped her and invited dozens of strangers into their home to do the same while he recorded. For years, Gisèle had been struggling with medical symptoms like memory loss, exhaustion, and mysterious illnesses, and doctors couldn't find any explanation for it all. In hindsight, her symptoms weren't due to any mysterious illness. They were evidence of a crime happening in plain sight. By the time authorities uncovered the truth, investigators had identified more than 70 men connected to the assaults and documented years of abuse carefully recorded by the man that Gisèle trusted most, her husband Dominique, to whom she had been married for almost half a century. This is a story of betrayal, survival, resilience, and the case that forced an entire country to confront the reality of hidden violence. This is the story of a woman refusing to stay silent, a woman determined to make shame change sides. Welcome back to the pod, everybody. I am your host, Kelsey, and I'm here with my sweet, sweet sister-in-law, Katie.
Thanks for having me back.
For the third time.
Oh my goodness.
Episode, what is this now? 102, baby.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
And guys, if you know, you know, we had a Bloody Mary before this, so like, I think it's going to be a good episode.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be a long one again, because I am me, you know what I mean? So we already decided we're going to like record for an hour or so today and then finish it tomorrow. So you guys you're going to have a double whammy pretty much in one day. But yeah, we are talking about the story of Gisèle Pelicot, of course. And now we're on part 3. These fuck ass men is going to be the episode title.
I love that.
Gisèle Pelicot and the 51 fuck ass men. So I started, like when I started writing this story, I knew I wanted to go through and at the very least like name each one of these guys. Wasn't sure how much information I was going to find. And then like midway through my research, like before I even finished writing part 1, I found a good article that like had a couple sentences on each. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like 51 men, it's going to take, you know, you spend a couple minutes on each and it's going to be a long episode. Then,
oh gosh,
I found an article by The Guardian, and I want to be very clear about this. The level of detail I am about to give you right now would not have been possible without this article. So I want to give credit where credit is due. It's written by Angelique Chrysophis for The Guardian, and it's titled, "Who Are the Men Convicted Over Rape and Assault of Gisèle Pelicot?" And it is the most amount of information that I've been able to find like in one place. And it's really incredible how much information they've put together from the trial and everything. And honestly, I was surprised that there was that much information out there. Yet other news reports that I read were so much more condensed. So I did use a ton of other sources for this episode. Like I was finding other things about these men that weren't in this Guardian article, but I wanted to give credit where credit was due with that because it's a really good source, and I recommend that you guys check it out. So we're going to start with Dominique, but I'm just going to give you an overview because I feel like we've talked a lot about Dominique, and we're going to talk about him, you know, throughout talking about these other men. So really what I wanted to focus on is like the themes in the trial when it comes to Dominique. And one of this is kind of like the psychological evaluation of this fuck-ass man.
Okay.
And so they had expert witnesses, which included psychiatrist Paul Bensusan, and he testified about Dominique's personality. Now, Bensusan described him as a man divided between two identities, a socially acceptable exterior and a hidden life driven by extreme sexual fantasies. According to the evaluation, Dominique displayed traits associated with narcissism and a profound lack of empathy, along with numerous sexual paraphilias. The psychiatrist suggested that this internal split made genuine self-reflection very difficult for him and described him as this man split in two. So like we talked about Giselle kind of talking about that in her book, and that this is kind of where she like gets that idea from, it sounds like.
She like it clicked with her.
Yes, she, you know, that's been her experience with him, is like there's this one side of him, the shell that like she has seen for 50 years. And then there's this inside like dark part that she didn't ever expect.
Crazy.
Now,
I have two questions.
Yes.
The psychological evaluation, is that like a one-on-one, like full assessment that this expert witness does with
Yes,
Dominique?
and I believe
Okay.
there were multiple, but this Paul Bensusan was like the main one that testified.
Okay.
But I think that there was another like psychologist who
Okay.
testified. This guy's the psychiatrist. But yeah, there are some like, we'll kind of talk about some of the other men are evaluated as well. I don't know. I don't think it's by the same psychiatrist. But yeah, it's really interesting. And I think it's nothing that we didn't already know.
Yeah.
But to have an expert perspective on it saying, yes, this is kind of what I think is the case is really interesting.
Yeah,
Now,
for sure.
by the end of the trial, Dominique was found guilty of rape and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison, which was the maximum allowed by law.
Wow.
I remember one of our listeners from France, her name is Leah, shout out Leah. And so, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but that's how it is, L-E-A. I would assume Leah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Leah, you tell me. But I think it was her who messaged me, and she said that like in France, a life sentence, like when we talk about a life sentence, because we did what case was it? Oh, Jean-Claude Romand. It was the one that Alex was on. And it was this guy who murdered his whole family, like his two kids, his wife, and both of his parents. And he's like out free now because he got life sentences, but it was only like 20 years. And that's like a life sentence in France. I don't know for sure that it's 20 years, but it was like 20, 25 years
It's
or
not
something.
really for the rest of your life.
Right. And there are some states in the U.S. where it's the same way, where like a life sentence is a certain amount of years. So it's not
Interesting,
really
okay.
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Which to me, I don't understand this. Like, are you, like, why can't you be found guilty of a billion counts of rape?
That's my question too, because and you know how I feel, like you rape someone, you deserve whatever is coming for you. Like you should get those stacked up, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, why aren't we like stacking them up? Like, I don't know exactly
Compounding
how that
interest,
works.
like no discount for multiple, like you add on. For every that you have more than one, you get more and more and more. And
I
more.
agree.
Yeah.
Like, they should not be able to serve them. What do they call it? Oh, congruently.
Yeah.
Like a congruent. Like if you have multiple charges, let's say you get 10 years for one thing and 10 years for another. But if you can serve them congruently, I think that's the term for it. Then you only serve 10 years.
Right,
Still.
right.
I want consecutive.
Agreed.
I want like you should be serving
650
20
years.
Yes.
In prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I feel like this, you know, he's an old man, like, but he could be like 95 or something. Who knows? Like maybe and he was an athlete. He was like a huge cyclist. Like he was very healthy and fit for his age and everything like that. So hopefully prison like really, takes that out of him.
Yeah.
Because I don't want him out free ever.
No, because his track record shows this was not just a one-time thing. This was not like this has been years and years and years in the making. He's not going to reform because that's part of him at this time.
And also, he literally said at the trial, I'm worried I'll still find watching the videos pleasurable.
Yeah.
Like, damn, like, you know what? At least he's being honest, I guess.
my
What the
God.
fuck? Like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Like,
He's like, I'm under oath.
I guess.
Oh
I
my
mean, Jesus
God.
Christ. Yeah. So here's the thing is, while all of this is happening, all of this testimony is happening with Dominique, with the other men, with the psychiatrists, the expert witnesses, all of this. Like, you have to understand that listening to all of this testimony was humiliating and emotionally exhausting for Giselle, because a lot of the questions are not just about the men and about Dominique, but they are about her. They're about her body. They're about her sex life. I think we mentioned in the last episode, they're talking about her vaginal secretions and whether or not that means, you know, she was experiencing pleasure. They're talking about her snoring. They're talking about, you know, her and Dominique's sex life outside of this. Because remember, they were very sexually active for an older couple. Like, they were having sex multiple times a week on top of these rapes, which obviously she didn't even realize. Now, the experts were just kind of dissecting the intimate details of not only her life, but her body, her sexuality, all in open court, as if she herself was the one on trial, the one being examined. They discussed her age, her intelligence, and even extremely private details about her sexual anatomy. Doctors described intimate physical details of her body and her sexual responses as if she were this clinical specimen rather than a victim. And it's just one of those things where it's like, she's just being re-victimized. Yeah. She's just being violated again, this time by the attorneys. And at the same time, they have to show all these videos of her assaults in court. Like, she's unconscious, she's snoring, she's nude. I can't imagine sitting in a courtroom full of people and letting them watch those videos
over and over.
And that's why I think her waiving the closed trial is so fucking incredible. Like, I mean, if people were going to have to watch the videos anyway, even if it was closed, but it, you know, it was going to be less people, unless people would know the details and whatever. And she was like, no, because shame needs to change sides. Why should I feel ashamed of myself in that video when they're the ones that did that to me? I didn't choose that to happen. The disgusting things happening in those videos, like, were absolutely against my will. And so why should I be embarrassed about it? And I just think it's really incredible what she's done. And I really think she has been successful in making shame change sides. Like, she is seen as like this, you know, if I picture her in my mind, I picture her walking into court with her gangster ass sunglasses on, just looking like a fucking icon, throwing a motherfucking fit in court every day. And if you guys don't, if you have real lives and you're not on the internet all day like me, I don't mean throwing a fit. I mean wearing a great outfit.
She's got the fit on.
That's what the kids are saying these days. They say she's throwing a fit. But yeah, she's throwing a motherfucking fit every day. And I just see her as like an icon, as like I'm unfuckwithable.
Yeah.
Like, you think you can fuck with me? It is not happening. And to be a woman also, like, of her age, I do think that that's really incredible as well. And yeah, I just love her. She just fucking rocks. And I just think she is... Thank you to Giselle Pellico. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
So as the proceedings continued, and like, we're going to get into the details of the men, but I kind of want to like talk about the overview of other things first, like about Giselle, about the other women in court, because there are a lot of women testifying. And Giselle also noticed that the other women present in the courtroom, so the partners, the wives, the mothers, the sisters of the accused men, and she just sensed their distress, and she recognized their own complicated feelings of denial, of loyalty, of shame, all of these things that she has felt herself. Now, some of these women left the courtroom rather than watch the videos of the crimes that their loved ones had committed. Reading about some of these other women at trial, because we're going to talk about a lot of them stand behind these men.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where, like, at first, it's so easy to be judgmental. And that honestly, if I'm being real with you guys, like, that was my first reaction, you know, like, whatever. And that's why I think what Giselle is doing is so incredible. Like, she, you know, maybe that was her gut instinct at first, but she really empathizes with them in her book. And she writes in the book, quote, "These women were suffering. I could sense their fragility. They were prisoners in a room where the judges demanded that they reveal everything about their private lives under the watchful eyes of the accused, insisting on their unfailing support."
Oof.
End quote. And
that does sound horrible.
Yeah. And like, it is, the way she approaches them with such empathy when they are defending the men who raped her is, I think, really, really incredible. And I think it has made me think differently about this type of situation. Because, again, my first reaction is to be, like, angry with them. And I think Giselle has just learned how easy the wool can be pulled over your eyes and how, you know, if they've been with their partners for decades, like she was with Dominique, she understands like how hard it is to accept and believe what this person that you love is capable of doing.
Yeah, for sure. You know, they're also like kind of going through something similar to Giselle in that, like, I can see why she can relate to them and empathize with them, because they are having parts of their lives just exposed for everyone to see as well. And they aren't the ones who did the crime, but they do have to, you know, sit there and deal with that too, which is, I'm sure, very hard.
Yeah, and many of the like partners of these men, like they are asked very similar questions to Giselle, like about them, who don't want other people knowing.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, she has this empathy for them. She talks about there's mothers, sisters, daughters, wives that take the stand, many of them in tears, to tell the court what a good man their son or their brother or their father or their husbands are, how they would never knowingly hurt or violate a woman, and how they must have been tricked because he's such a good man. But Giselle doesn't really seem to hold any anger towards these women, like at least not anymore. Instead, she says these women, quote, held up a mirror to the person that I had once been. It reflected nothing more than the inner conflict we all feel, the wars we wage against ourselves, end quote. She sees herself in these women, and she understands them in a way that I think us sitting in, like us armchair experts sitting in the basement who have never experienced something like this cannot. Yeah. And this is why I think she feels like they're valid in, maybe they're misguided. You know, I don't think these women should be defending these men. They're misguided, but they're valid in their experience. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about last week with Caroline and Giselle. It's not, you know, they're both valid in their feelings. Yes. And who are we to like say to get worked up or angry or have emotion about it? They can have the emotion about it. They're the ones involved. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, she also explains that the police had asked the partners of all 50 men to give hair samples so that it could be tested for drugs to see if any of these women were victims like Giselle. Wow. Every single one of them refused, insinuating that they likely did not believe it to be possible that they were also victims. So,
or they didn't want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They do test a couple of women's hair samples, but it's none of the partners of the men. It's like, we're going to talk about one's mother.
Okay.
But yeah, it breaks my heart for these women to be put in that position. But there's also, it just says something to me that not a single one wanted to, you're right, either they didn't believe it, oh, he would never do that to me.
Like, I don't need to test, I know for sure.
Yes. Or it was one of those things where like they find peace in the not knowing more than they would in the knowing. Yeah. And again, it's just like to each their own. It goes back to like what we're talking about with Caroline. Like with Caroline, like she wants to know. But Giselle kind of feels like, don't you have peace in the not knowing? So maybe these women are like that, where they just find the peace in the not knowing. Yeah. So to start talking about, if we're going to start our naming and shaming, okay?
I love this, yes.
And guys, I want to play a fun little game. Throughout this week, you've hopefully already seen me posting videos. I've been really behind on shit, so hopefully you've already seen me posting videos this week. If not, they're coming, because we got a lot of fucking men to get through. Because my goal is, I'm going to try, and I can't make any promises, but I'm going to try and make videos and talk about every single one of these men. Wow. Obviously not in one video, but like, 2 or 3 at a time. But yeah, like I'm going to do a little bit of shaming, but my request is that everyone gets as creative as possible in the comments. Yes. So we can start that here on the podcast. You guys can go to our posts on Instagram. But yeah, I think a little bit of bullying, like this is where all of the, what do they call that? Online trolls. This is your chance to thrive.
Yeah. Okay? I love a comment section.
I love a comment section.
Are we about to play Fuck That Rapist?
Yeah. All right. Number 1, we're going to start with the only man on trial who was not on trial for raping Giselle Pellico. So this is 63-year-old retired truck driver Jean-Pierre Marical. And at the time, he actually worked at a garden store.
Okay.
So Jean-Pierre was on trial for actually drugging and raping / attempting to rape his own wife and the mother of his 5 children, Celia. And this is on at least 10 separate occasions. And we know this because they are all recorded.
Of course they are.
And the reason that he was tried at the same trial as the rest of them, even though we have no evidence that he raped Giselle and he was never charged with raping or assaulting Giselle, is because Dominique is seen in at least 3 of these recordings also raping the woman.
Wow.
Or sexually assaulting the woman. I don't know for sure. But yeah. So we don't know. I guess there's no evidence to suggest that this man also raped Giselle. But, they met on that Coco forum. And Dominique was like, hey, this is what you should try. And then he was going over there and doing this. And there's also a lot of pictures and videos of Dominique and they're like nude women and stuff that no one knows who these women are. Now, not all of them are, like we talked about, like the daughter-in-law's photos where they're obviously like voyeuristic images. Like the women don't know that they're being taken. Obviously, there's some from like the grocery stores and things like that. But there are also some that appear to be consensual sexual encounters. Because the women are like in the videos, they're up, they're awake, they're moving, and they haven't been identified. There's at least one that I know of because they try and argue in court that it's Giselle in this video, and they're like, well, look, she's awake in this video, blah 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 blah. But the woman has like a mole next to her belly button that Giselle does not have. So yeah, it's really interesting. But Marical told the court, quote, I regret my actions. I love my wife. If I had not met Mr. Pellico, I never would have committed this act. He was reassuring, like a cousin. And
okay,
what are you doing with your cousins?
Yeah, what the fuck?
But here's the thing is like, 2 things. It's all Mr. Pellico's fault. It's not mine. I never would have done this. I love my wife. You shut the fuck up. And this also goes back to what I was saying. It's if there's something simmering in you beneath the surface,
yes,
and you believe that you'll never act on it, it's just like, oh, it's just a fantasy, or oh, I just like to watch this really, you like whatever, rape porn or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, but I would never act on it. I would never hurt anyone. Here's the thing, guys, is that's what you think, but then maybe you do meet Dominique Pellico.
Yeah.
And again, doesn't make it just Dominique Pellico's fault. Then you're fucking doing it. You're doing it. So I'm just saying you can't just trust that you're never going to hurt someone. Like you need to get help. But yeah. So in addition to blaming Dominique for everything, Marical also placed blame on his own father, who he says sexually abused him and his sisters as children. He told the court how as a young boy, he was forced to watch his father and other men rape his mother, which is absolutely horrible and so sad for them as children. We are going to hear throughout this, a lot of these men allege that they were either just physically abused, but a lot of them are alleging that they were sexually abused as children, which is sad. I believe that I'm sure a lot of their allegations that they're making are probably true. Here's the thing, though, is there are a lot of people who are sexually abused as children who do not become abusers.
Right.
So I don't care. Like that doesn't make you any less culpable in my mind in any way, shape, or form.
You have the responsibility to heal. I know that is hard, but that's your job because it doesn't make excuses.
Yes. And in response to like this whole claim from this guy of like, oh, well, I was abused and blah, blah, blah. Giselle later noted, quote, I've had trauma, but I have not committed crimes, end quote. And period.
Yeah.
So Dominique admitted to raping Celia at the trial as well. He said, yes, I did do this. I mean, there's evidence. And one of the things about Dominique that you'll notice is like, whenever there's irrefutable evidence, he'll be like, yes, I will admit to you, I did this. Like, I'm telling the truth about everything. But then anything that there's not like literally DNA or video.
Yeah, he's like, I did not do that.
But I'm so honest because look at me admitting all of these other things because you have all the fucking evidence. Yeah. So that's why I just don't believe that. I don't believe that they have definitive evidence for every single bad thing he's ever done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I just don't believe it when he's saying like, oh, I didn't do certain things. But this one, they've got videos, so he has to admit it. But he says that he actually cut off contact with the Miracles after Celia woke up from her drugged up stupor one night to find Dominique, a man whom she did not recognize, in her bedroom. And I believe he was nude. Okay? So from what I read, it does not sound like Celia reported this incident to anyone.
Wow.
However, it is unclear to me whether or not like she remembered it. Like I couldn't find that like she was like, yes, this happened to me and I remembered it, but like I didn't tell anybody. But what I do know about her for sure is that she stood by her husband at trial. She did not press any charges against her own husband or even Dominique. And I don't know how that works in France. Like here, it depends on the case and how much evidence there is. Like in a lot of sexual assault cases, the state is not going to press charges unless the victim chooses to. Now, maybe that's the case here where like Celia didn't want to, and this, and you know, the state or whatever municipality is like suing or is filing the charges is like, well, we have to anyway because there's definitive evidence. I'm not really sure what the case is, but Giselle wrote in her book that she did not press any charges against Dominique or the husband. So it's just interesting. And it seems like Celia kind of says at trial that it's not because she's in denial about what happened, but she wants to do it for her children. But she also didn't divorce this man. And she kind of like stood by him at trial. In tears, she told the court that she had thought that everything in their life was wonderful. They had a wonderful marriage and that it was inconceivable to her that her husband had done this to her. And this is another one where it's like, you know, I think for some of us, our natural reaction might be to like shake this woman, like wake up. And Giselle really displays incredible empathy for this woman. She said in her book that Celia, quote, was within her rights to act as she saw fit. It wasn't my place to judge her, end quote. And I think that's where we should all take a learning lesson from Giselle, that it's not our place to judge this woman who has been brutally victimized. And do I hope that maybe she changes her mind? Do I personally believe that that might be better for her and her children in the long run? Probably. But it is not my place to judge this woman.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to like what we were talking about with Giselle, as, you know, Giselle is often seen and painted as this feminist icon, this hero, because she's almost the perfect victim. She's, you know, smart. She had a good career path. She dresses nicely. She's eloquent. She's well-spoken. She is, you know, an older woman. There's all of this evidence to prove that there's not even a chance she's lying because, of course, that's always a fucking thing. And this is, I think, a woman who deserves the same empathy and respect that Giselle deserves.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, like, this story has, like, I've learned a lot from Giselle, I think, from this story. But she notes later in the book that hearing about the abuse that Celia's life partner, the father of her children, and her rapist endured as a child, like, because again, she's like empathizing with Celia, like, this is a man she's been married to for decades. This is the father of her children. Yes, he brutally raped her, but also, just like Dominique, it's like, well, Dominique had all these horrible things happen to him, and you start to kind of justify why he is the way that he is. And here's the thing, there's a difference between justifying and explaining. And she says in the book that, you know, hearing about all of this stuff about Jean-Pierre Marical, she says that she, quote, felt once again that I could have been Mrs. Marical, end quote. And she talks about, like, when she was first shown the photos, she couldn't believe it, that it was her in the photos. She couldn't believe that her husband would do this to her. And that's where she feels like she has this empathy, is like, that could be me. Now, Jean-Pierre was detained through the trial, and he was eventually found guilty of attempted rape and the aggravated rape of his wife. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Now, we're going to talk about, like, all of these men. Out of the 51, I believe there were 3 that were found guilty of attempted rape, and then 2 that were found guilty of sexual assault, and then the rest were found guilty of aggravated rape.
Okay.
I do not know the details of, like, why is it considered attempted rape.
Okay.
I assume for the sexual assault ones, there's no penetration. I don't know what is determining the attempted rape. I did try and find those details because I feel like it could be important, but I wasn't able to find them. So
it feels like an interesting distinction. Like, maybe like there wasn't video of some of them and there was only pictures or something. So
yeah, or they never were able to
to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
So next up, we have temp worker Charly Arbo. And he worked in, and one thing I want to say about all these guys is, depending on the source, all the jobs they keep changing. And I think it's one of those things where like they have different jobs throughout the years, and like one source reports it one way and another, whatever. I did my freaking best with the jobs, guys. Yeah. But you get the vibes. The vibe is they're all working normal ass jobs. These are men that you encounter every day.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, like he worked in vineyards. He worked like loading trucks for a cement company for a while. And again, he's a temp worker. So like he's doing positions here and there. Now, he actually spent part of his childhood in the village of Mazan, which is where the Pellico family lived. And between 2016 and 2020, he raped Giselle Pellico 6 times, at least we know from, well, I'll tell you how we know. And he was ultimately sentenced to 13 years in prison after the trial. Now, the first assault occurred when Arbo was just 22 years old. He was the youngest of the rapists at the time of the rape. Giselle was 64.
That's a baby. A baby. 22. And you're going to rape someone your grandma's age?
And that's what happened in your fucking life?
Yes, that early on. That's horrifying.
Right? Like, I don't understand it. And that's why we're going to talk about a lot of these guys and, like, bad things that happened to them as children and, like, you know, in their lives. And I want to make it clear, I am not justifying any of their behavior, but I think that's just the natural question we want answered is, like, why the fuck did you turn out this way?
Yes.
But yeah, so the first time he raped her was when he was 22. She was 64. Then prosecutors said that on the night of Giselle's 66th birthday, Arbo and Dominique Pellico raped her while she lay unconscious in her bed. He drugged her and raped her and brought over, the guy must have been maybe 24 at that time, to rape his wife on her fucking birthday. And this is not the last holiday that we're going to hear about. He loves to celebrate a holiday with bringing men over to rape his wife. So at trial, Arbo denied knowingly committing rape. He claimed that Dominique Pellico had told him it was a consensual scenario in which Giselle would pretend to be asleep.
Okay. You think somebody who's enjoying themselves having sex and rape fantasy can just lay there still and snoring and not react at all?
It's the snoring for me. And also, like, I get if you just see someone laying on a bed, you can kind of tell. You might not be able to tell if they're actually asleep or pretending to be asleep or whatever it may be. But, like, I'm sorry, when you are raping somebody, when you are literally penetrating their body, the idea that you cannot tell that they have no physical, like, reactions to anything that you're doing is just absolute garbage bullshit to me. Like, I do not believe that one bit. Even if some of these men went over there thinking this was like whatever, you know, this was like a weird threesome, like kink thing, there's not a single cell in my body that believes that after a few minutes they did not realize what was happening.
Exactly.
Like, but way before they touched her, I have to say.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to hear this time and time again throughout these men. Now, and we're going to hear about some of these men who say the same thing we're saying. Like, no, I knew. And it's ridiculous that these other men are saying that they didn't know.
Yeah.
So Arbo said that he believed Dominique's explanation of this, and he said that he never intended to harm her. However, investigators discovered video evidence showing Arbo discussing the possibility of drugging and raping his own mother with Dominique Pellico. So you're telling me you thought this was consensual and you didn't know that she was drugged and that you were raping her, and then you're like, hey, Dominique, what if we drugged my mother and raped her together? But you didn't know that Giselle was drugged. Okay. Whatever you say, Charles.
I'm scared of that person.
No, I'm scared too.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, like, wait till you hear these fucking things. Like, 13 years. This guy, at the time of the trial, how old was he? 2016. So at the time of the trial, he's 30.
Okay.
He's going to get out of prison when he's 43.
Yeah, that's nothing.
This
so
man's
much life ahead of
dangerous.
him. Yeah.
This man's dangerous. Like, it blows my mind.
That's why we need to post names.
Yes. So, yeah. Okay. So Arbo later said that Pellico had pressured him and asked him if there was another woman that he might want to rape. And that's why he brought it up about his mother, and that it wasn't his idea to mention his mother. Like, he only mentioned his mother because she was the first woman that came to mind.
When somebody says, who do you want to rape? That's the first woman that comes to mind.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Also, why does anybody come to mind? You fucking...
Because you're raping somebody. You're
Right
raping
now.
is because you're a fucking
You like
rapist.
it. You're a rapist. That's why.
So he goes, but I never intended to follow through with raping my own mother. However, Dominique Pellico gave Arbo 3 sedative tablets wrapped in foil and instructed him to crush them into his mother's food. Arbo says, well, I never used the sedatives that he gave me. However, a court psychiatrist also testified that Arbo's heavy exposure to pornography from a young age, including fantasies that involved older women, likely contributed to his objectification of women. And this is why you guys need to be, if you have fucking boys, no computers,
I know.
no tablets, no phones of their fucking own until they're like teenagers.
So
sorry. I'm not, as someone who doesn't have children, I shouldn't tell you how to raise your children, but like, this shit on the internet is scary.
Yeah.
And I think people who are even 10 years older than me, like someone who's 40 and might have like a 10-year-old kid or something right now, I think that they might not realize
100%.
how easily accessible and how you can't avoid some of this stuff. Even on my For You page, sometimes I get like, you know, very obviously, like, I don't know if they're porn stars or like whatever, they like OnlyFans models and whatever.
Yep.
And like, no hate to those girls at all, but I don't ask
You're
for
not
that
searching
on that
for it,
feed.
right? So
like I'm not looking at that stuff out. These are not videos that I'm like sitting there scrolling on and like
Right.
but my algorithm throws them in every once in a while like, hey,
Yep.
let's just check back in. You interested in this? And I
Yes.
scroll past it. But 10, 12-year-old boys not scrolling past it. And then it's like, oh, just click the link in my bio because it's good marketing. And then they go down these fucking rabbit holes. Like, I just absolutely not like that. I mean, I do think that porn is a major issue for these young boys. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these really, really intense and dangerous like fantasies and quote unquote kinks and whatever.
Yeah.
So next up, we have 45-year-old truck driver and veteran Dominique Davies, who, like Charly Arbo, visited the Pellico home on 6 separate occasions between 2015 and 2020. Investigators discovered video recordings of 5 different visits to the Pellico home, so that they knew they went there multiple times. But Davies later, I think accidentally admitted that there was a 6th time. I think they told him, we've got a bunch of videos, and then he threw out the number 6.
Wow.
And they were like, wait, what? You know?
And other Dominique is over there like, bro, they didn't have proof of that.
Yeah. So according to Davies, he first connected with Dominique Pellico in February of 2015 through that online chat room, Coco FR. And this is where Dominique said that he was searching for a man as a Valentine's Day gift for his wife. That's what Dominique was posting on the chat room.
Oh,
Again, I told
God.
you, he loves a fucking holiday. So during the trial, Davies denied intentionally committing rape. He told the court that he had never set out to harm anyone. And he said that he did not just wake up one day planning to go to a couple's home to commit a crime. He didn't mean to commit a crime. Before his first visit in 2015, Davies said that he asked to see Giselle Pellico, and he was sent a video of her leaving the shower that had been recorded without her knowledge. So again, you didn't know you were committing a crime, but it's obvious that she doesn't know that she's being recorded. But you think that this is just this is getting her off, like having this camera there and her pretending that she doesn't know it's that. The math doesn't math there for me.
Yeah.
Now, he also went to the house briefly while pretending to be an electrician to see Giselle. Again, if you think she's into this, why are you having to go there under false pretenses?
Why do you have to hide who you are?
Why do you have to hide who you are? He said that at the home, he saw her on the couch reading. She was just sitting on the couch reading when he was pretending to be an electrician to scout out a fucking rape victim. So yeah, Davies later told the court that he believed Dominique Pellico's assurances about the situation. You know, the whole like, oh, she's just into this. She's going to pretend to be asleep. But he says, he does admit that he overlooked the most important factor, which was Giselle's consent.
Wow. Ding, ding, ding. What?
Yeah, I can't, guys. Like, there are people who are like, there are some of these guys who are like, I did not rape her. Like, they try and say she's lying and she was into this whole thing. But most of them are saying, I didn't realize I was committing rape. Mm-hmm. Like, actually, now when you when you lay it out, you're right. It is rape
because we didn't get her consent.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, no.
Whatever. But it's insane.
I didn't realize it. Crazy.
Okay, so next up, we have 63-year-old Roman van de Velde, and he was a former forklift driver who was convicted of raping Giselle Pellico, again, 6 times between 2019 and 2020.
The years are getting closer together.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Now, he was also sentenced to 15 years in prison, and at trial, he denied raping Giselle, claiming that Dominique Pellico had invited him and that a husband's consent was enough.
Disgusting.
That's like the third defense that we get into. That he is not the only one that says this, but they're saying, oh, well, her husband said that I can do it. Therefore, it is not rape. And it's important to note that marital rape wasn't even considered an aggravated crime in France until 2006.
That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but that makes sense.
Yes. So, yeah, he also says that he didn't realize that Giselle was drugged, despite the video footage showing her unconscious and snoring in the videos where he is in. Because she's not snoring in every single video, but many of them. But in the videos with him, she is snoring during the assaults. And, like, again, if you think she's faking it, you think she's just, like, deserving of the Academy Award for snoring.
World's best actress.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Now, he told the court that he first went to the Pellico home because he felt lonely as the holidays approached and was looking for companionship. It's hard to get companionship from a woman who's not awake.
Yeah.
So, yeah. On top of this shining star that we have here was also HIV positive.
Oh my God.
And had not used a condom. But he did say he believed that he could not transmit the virus because he had been on treatment since 2004 and he maintained an undetectable viral load, which, by the way, is a very real thing. Like, there's a lot of stigma around HIV. Nowadays, most people cannot, like, as long as they don't have the virus, like, detectable, then it's really difficult. It's really, really unlikely that they are going to give someone HIV. In this case, doesn't fucking matter.
Fuck that guy. Don't care.
And by the way,
don't care.
With a consenting partner, it doesn't matter if you have an undetectable viral load. You still have to tell that person that you are HIV positive.
Yeah.
And it's wrong to do otherwise. But
is he one of the ones that told Dominique and he still...
I don't know if he told Dominique, but... Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. But I mean, he fucking knew. Like, he had obviously known for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, the court also heard that he endured severe abuse as a child, including extreme violence from his parents and sexual abuse by multiple different men, including a priest. Again, I don't know. We don't know if these guys are telling the truth or if they're just trying to, like, make excuses to get off a little bit lighter. But, like, I think he's probably telling, I think most of these men are probably telling the truth.
Yeah.
Or, like, and not... I don't want this to come off wrong, but, like, part of me hopes they're at least telling the truth. Like, there's a reason why they are the way that they are.
Yes.
And it's not just, like, a normal dude from a normal family with, like, a good childhood who was never abused, never sexually abused, nothing. And just
turns out
how
like
the
that.
Fuck did they get this way? You know what I mean? Because if we know what's causing it, then we can hopefully, through generations try and, like, minimize this stuff as much as possible. But, like, if you just can't even point to, like, what could have happened... That's scary to me.
Even scarier, yeah.
Did I already say he was convicted of aggravated rape and he's sentenced to 15 years in prison? Next up, we've got Jérôme Vilela, and he was 46 years old. He was a former grocery store employee and a father of 3. And there's multiple grocery store employees. I can't figure out which one worked at the same supermarket as the guy, the hero, where Dominique got caught.
Yes.
Okay. Can't figure out which one it is. But he's a former grocery store employee, father of 3, and he openly admitted in court that he raped Giselle while knowing that she had been drugged and could not consent. So he's like, no, I knew. He told a court-appointed psychiatrist that he was aware that she had not agreed to the encounters in any way, shape, or form. Because that's like the 4th version that we're going to hear of like a defense is these guys are like, no, okay, yeah, she was drugged. I knew she wasn't just sleeping, but we thought that she had agreed to be drugged. And that's part of the thing for her. And again, doesn't matter even if she did. Matter. Like if someone is unconscious and they're under like the effects of drugs to the point of they're not conscious, I don't care if they consented before. Genuinely, I don't.
This is the reason. It's not just, Kelsey doesn't care. It negates their ability to revoke consent. That is why you can consent ahead of time, but consent can always be revoked at any time for any reason or no reason. So consenting before doesn't change the fact that now when she's unconscious, she can't revoke it if she wants to. So you're raping her.
Wait, thank you for putting into words what I could not.
Yeah, I just thought of it and I was like, no, I have to say this because it makes so much sense when I'm sure people are like, but she consented. Like, I get that.
But and she didn't in this, by the way, but that's what they're trying to like argue is like, oh, Dominique told me she did.
Right.
And so I was tricked and therefore I'm not, responsible for this. But yeah, thank you. I think that was a really important piece of this that I couldn't articulate properly.
Now we know what we can say.
That is why you cannot consent and then be fucking passed out. Is because you don't have the ability to revoke it anymore.
Yes. I don't have my nails.
Period. Okay.
Period.
So he admits to this. He says that he knew she did not agree to this. He knew that it was rape. He knew that she was drugged. Now, he went to the Pelico home again on 6 separate occasions between March and June of 2020. So again,
what is that special number? What?
We're getting closer. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what were the years?
Just 2020. Just between March and June of 2020 during France's first COVID lockdown.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yep. Now, he was actually at the time a volunteer firefighter, like working as a volunteer firefighter, which, you assume that someone who's volunteering to like help the community is a good dude, but nope. And he lived about 30 minutes away. So, he was close enough to where he could just come 6 times in just a few months. But he said that he initially went because he was attracted to the idea of having complete control over an unconscious body. That's not really what I want my firefighters to be interested in, who are supposed to be like saving people from homes who might be unconscious.
Yeah.
But yeah, he told the courtroom, quote, I didn't keep going back because rape mode was my thing, but because I couldn't control my sexuality, end quote. Rape mode?
We have to be very careful about talking about our sexuality in this way because rapist is not a sexuality.
Yes, correct. Now, he claimed that he struggled to control his sexual impulses and described a long history of compulsive behavior, including frequent infidelity and increasingly extreme sexual practices because his sexual partners, quote, couldn't meet his demands, end quote.
See, that's when they start killing.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah. Now, investigators also found a list at his home documenting 89 different sexual partners, which he said he kept this list to keep track of his quote-unquote conquests. Ooh! Yeah, gross. During the trial, Jerome told the court that he felt ashamed for harming someone, quote, who seems so pure, end quote. His current partner testified that she continued to support him and regularly visited him in prison. This one, some of them are tougher to empathize with because this man is saying, I knew that I was committing rape. I knew that she was drugged. I knew that she did not know what was happening. I went there 6 times.
I refer to it as rape mode.
I get excited by the idea of having complete control over an unconscious body. So,
and you sleep next to this man? Well, I guess not if he's a man.
Not for the next 13 years. Sorry. This one is a little bit tougher for me to empathize with. But I'm taking a page out of Giselle's book. We're learning from Giselle this week.
Yes, we are.
And we're taking the high road. So, yeah. But there's that information.
We have plenty of men rapists to shame, so we'll just stick to that.
Yeah, we'll just keep moving. Yes, we'll just stick to shaming the rapists.
Yes.
Now, the court also heard that Jérôme had experienced a troubled childhood, saying that he lacked parental support, was bullied at school, and was once forcibly stripped by other students in high school.
I'm going to start laughing because if every single
person who was bullied...
I'm sorry. It's not even funny. We can, Eric, cut this out. I'm just
but like, you're right. I don't even think we need to cut that out. It's like I get the ones that are like, okay, I was like extremely sexually abused as like, and you know, on the road and whatever. But like this guy was like, yeah, they were so mean to me at school. Like, bro, like just keep that to yourself. Like you didn't even, you
can work through that, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Next, we've got 50-year-old software technician Cedric Grassot and Grassot.
Okay.
I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah, we're going with Grassot. And he previously owned a record shop in Avignon, and he was on trial for raping Gisèle Pellico and possessing illegal sexual abuse materials involving children. So like CSAM. And so according to the French news source Le Monde, 3 of his former girlfriends testified that he had distributed pornographic images and videos of them online without their knowledge or consent.
Oh my God.
It was unclear to me whether or not the photos and videos were taken. It sounded like maybe they were taken with their consent, but it was the distributing of the materials that they did not consent to.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that though, but like they didn't explicitly like explain how they were taken, which made me think that, you know, the women either took photos themselves or like allowed him to do it. I'm not 100% sure. One woman who had dated Cedric from 2013 to 2018 explained that she discovered this because she started receiving messages from random men, just like reaching out to her. Like, I don't know if it was texts or emails, whatever, but she said, quote, my name, my phone number, my social media, both sides of my identity card, my office address so that I could be harassed. This was the case for years. End quote.
What?
He had posted all of this online with pornographic images and videos of her. And what are they called? Revenge porn. Like, that sounds like revenge porn. Now, she said that one time she was found, while she was dating him, she was found unconscious by her friends. And so she wonders if he had abused her as well. Now, the court heard that Cedric had assaulted Gisèle at her home in October of 2017. So this woman was dating him between 2013 and 2018. So he raped Gisèle.
While he was with her.
So unlike some of the other evil fucks, Cedric actually admitted to raping Gisèle. According to The Independent, he even looked at Gisèle during trial and said, quote, I was your rapist. I was your tormentor, end quote. Now, he wasn't saying this.
I wish I could see like a video of it to understand his tone and like the context.
My impression was that he was at least pretending to be like offering some sort of apology. Like, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I was your rapist. I was not like like you know,
scared, like intimidating.
Yes,
like, yeah.
But I don't think it matters what he was trying to do there. I'm sure it came off as intimidating. You know, I would not want my fucking rapist to say that to me. Now, investigators also discovered messages showing that he had obtained sedatives from Dominique and had discussed the idea of drugging his own girlfriend, that girl that we're talking about, who said that she woke up, or her friends found her unconscious one day. But he claims that he never carried out this plan. He later admitted that possessing the sedatives just gave him a sense of power.
Ew. Like, oh, I could do this to you if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So I don't know. Testimony also revealed that he had experienced sexual abuse as a child. He was also found with a quote-unquote plethora of child sexual abuse materials, including photo edits that he made himself. So he's just like making collages of child sexual abuse materials.
Oh my God.
One image was captioned, quote, little 15-year-old slut in Avignon available at Lycée Frederic Mistral after school, end quote.
Oh my God.
When asked by the prosecutor who the girl in the photo was, Cedric explained that it was the daughter of his former partner. Clarifying, the prosecutor asked, so a girl you knew? Cedric responded, of course. And if that doesn't just make you
shuddering,
nauseous,
yeah,
of course. Of course it was. Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. Of course it was. So yeah, and but there's a lot of them that have child sexual abuse materials. So Get used to hearing that.
Jesus.
Next up, we've got the youngest defendant at trial, 26-year-old soldier Joan Kawai. Now, he missed the birth of his own daughter because he was busy raping Giselle.
Sure.
Yeah. So Joan was 22, so he was the same age as the other really young one, but the other really young one was just older at trial. He was 30 years old by the time of the trial.
The second one started later.
Yes,
Like, okay.
exactly. So he was 22 when he assaulted Giselle during 2 visits to her home in 2019 and 2020. In court, he said he did not believe that he intended to commit rape and claimed that he did not understand the concept of consent at the time, stating he only learned about what consent was after being imprisoned for raping Giselle.
That's great.
What are they teaching in schools there?
Yeah.
Like, I assume that they're teaching about what consent is in fucking schools. And also, you're 22. You're not 13.
Yeah.
Like, you're 22. I just didn't know what it was. Oh, my God. Now, he acknowledged that he never asked Giselle for consent, and he admitted that he noticed that she was unconscious and did not really fully grasp what that meant. That's what he says.
Okay.
Now, the court also heard that Joan missed the premature birth of his daughter on the night of his first assault of Giselle in November of 2019 because, like, you know, she was coming early and he was just didn't pick up the phone because he was busy raping. Yep. Now, he was born in French Guiana and he moved to Avignon at 16 to live with his brother before later joining the army. Testimony revealed that he had experienced a difficult upbringing, including periods of homelessness as a teenager and the deaths of 3 of his brothers, which is very, very sad. But again, doesn't make me feel better about how you turned out this way. Now, after his arrest, he lost his position in the military, which good.
Thank God.
And a psychologist described him as a heavy user of alcohol and cannabis who struggled with depression, impulsivity, and isolation. And honestly, like,
Same?
like,
I'm sorry, does that not describe all of us?
like I'm sorry to make a joke about it, but like for real, like that's like the fact that he paid a psychologist to testify to that is like, dude, no
shit.
No, that doesn't. You know what? I'm not out here doing this to people. I'll tell you that.
I don't even have inklings to do it.
Oh my God. Okay, so next up, we've got Vincent Coullet, a 42-year-old carpenter who was accused of raping Giselle during 2 visits to her home in October 2019 and January 2020. And you'll hear it seems like Dominique was really ramping this up in 2019 and 2020 because he gets caught in November. He gets arrested November 2nd of 2020. But like before then, you're going to hear 2019 and 2020 a lot. Like it seems like these were getting more frequent.
Interesting.
But yeah, Vincent had previously been convicted of domestic violence against a former partner in 2021, and he had struggled with alcohol addiction since his teenage years. At trial, he admitted to the sexual encounters but denied intending to commit rape, claiming that he believed that Giselle was consenting but asleep. He told the court that he found the situation in the Pellico home strange, but he trusted that it was acceptable because he had been invited by her husband.
And what the husband says goes.
You can't be rape if the husband says it's okay, right? So he tries to tell the court that he actually didn't have any pleasure from the encounter, from the first rape.
So you stopped in the middle of it and never went back?
No. But he didn't feel any pleasure. And the only reason that he ever returned a second time was because after the first time, Dominique told him that both he and Giselle had enjoyed the first visit so much and that she had watched the recording after and liked it, which he claimed removed any doubts he had about Giselle being asleep. If she liked it so much, why doesn't she tell you herself?
I was just going to say that.
So, yeah, but don't worry, guys. None of this was to pleasure him. He got no pleasure out of this.
It was for them.
So, yeah, he said that the Pellicos seemed more satisfied by the encounters than he was.
Be specific. Who do you mean?
You mean Dominique?
Dominique.
Now, Giselle, halfway through his testimony, got up and left the courtroom.
Wow.
I don't think she liked what she was hearing.
Yeah.
I would not either.
Jeez.
But yeah, he was convicted of aggravated rape and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Next up, we've got Jean-Luc La, and he was 46 years old. He was a mirror maker.
Oh.
Which,
I don't even think I ever thought about how mirrors got made.
yeah, someone does that. So
Thought they just kind of spawned in the department stores.
yeah, and I'm sure there's some like poetic fucking, irony we can find in him being a mirror maker, but I don't want to think it through too much. But yeah, he's a mirror maker and a father of 4. He admitted to raping Giselle Pellico twice in 2018 while knowing that she had been drugged and was unconscious. Jean-Luc denied intending to rape Giselle, though, saying that he believed that it wasn't rape because Dominique had consented on behalf of his wife, which meant that it wasn't against the law, which is not true, but that's what he's saying he believed. He's like, oh, well, it's not against the law if her husband consented for her.
Great.
Perfect. After his arrest, he told a psychologist that he had previously thought rape only referred to violent attacks by strangers, like women fighting you off in the streets.
But if your girl woke up, she might have started fighting you.
Yeah.
That's why you should give people a chance to consent for themselves.
Yeah. Now, during the trial, his wife testified that she had refused sex during a difficult period when her mother was ill. And she said, quote, I think because I refused him all the time. As a man, he had to look elsewhere, end quote. Now, again, there's something innate inside me that wants to say, I
feel bad for her.
Yes.
To hear that.
Yes, I do too. Now, Giselle was appalled by this statement, so she asked her lawyer to say something. And the attorney told the woman, quote, Mrs. Pellico would like you to know that she believes you hold no responsibility whatsoever for what your husband did, end quote. So she's not appalled by the woman defending her husband. She's appalled that the woman has lived a life that has led her to believe that simply because she turned down sex while she was taking care of her mother who was in ill health, that like this was partially her fault and her husband was worth defending. And yeah.
Horrible.
And again, the class and the empathy that Giselle shows others is just really beautiful. And yeah, I mean, I feel for this woman. I really do. Because I think, these women are victims too, whether or not they recognize it.
Yeah.
They are victims too.
The one thing about Giselle too that I really, really admire is that she like really has this empathy and like has this heart that is like made of gold, because that's like real time. Like she had her lawyer say something to her that wasn't her writing her book years later and thinking about all the empathy she could have had. Like she really in real time was like feeling these things. She's just like special. Yeah,
she is. Now, the court also heard that Dominique had suggested drugging Jean-Luc's wife so that they could assault her. Though Jean-Luc, did I say Jean-Luc the first time? Okay. Though Jean-Luc said he never followed through with the idea. Testimony revealed that Jean-Luc had a difficult childhood, having fled Vietnam by boat with his mother before spending time in refugee camps prior to settling in France. He was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Next up, we're on number 11. We made it through the first 10. We've got Fabien Sotto, 39 years old, who had 16 prior convictions, including armed robbery, drug trafficking, domestic violence, and sexual assault of a minor. He was convicted of raping Giselle in August of 2018 and sentenced to 11 years in prison. Some of these sentences like don't make sense though, because like this guy's got all these priors and he only got 11 years, but then there was another guy who got 15, and like I don't know all what they're taking into account to determine the sentences.
Yeah.
But yeah, he recognized that he had indeed committed rape, but he told the court that he had not gone to the Pellico home intending to commit rape, saying he simply had not considered whether or not Giselle had consented. He later apologized to her during the trial. I don't give a fuck.
Great.
Testimony also revealed that Fabien had endured severe abuse throughout his childhood, including sexual abuse by his father that started at age 2. That is fucking horrific.
Yeah.
That is fucking horrific.
That like kills me.
Yeah. So he was later placed in foster care where he experienced additional violence and abuse from foster parents. By age 16, he had entered psychiatric care, and between 18 and 28, he lived on the streets while struggling with alcoholism.
Wow.
Now, he was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 11 years. Sorry, I think I already said that, but there you go. Okay. Number 12, we've got 43-year-old Simoné Mekenes, and he was a builder, a former soldier, a father of 5, and a neighbor of the Pellicos, who lived just one street over from them. Besides Dominique, Simoné was the only defendant that Giselle had been able to identify when police first showed her, like, you know, screenshots from the video footage. Because they go through, you know, all of these men's faces and she doesn't recognize any of them except for him.
Wow.
And she's like, I know that guy. That's my neighbor. She recalled seeing him occasionally around town and once speaking with him in her own living room when he came to discuss cycling with her husband because they would go cycling together.
Was that a scouting mission, or they really would go scouting together or cycling
I think
together?
they really did go cycling together. Here's the thing, though. You're like, oh, this was like Dominique's friend, then Dominique brought him over. No, it started with the rapes, and then they became friends. Simoné had connected with Dominique in that online chat room, and then they realized that they lived less than 200 meters apart.
No.
And that's what's so scary about, like, you're like, oh, they have to use the internet to find each other. It's like, yeah, but like what's the, not frequency, but the how spaced out they are. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Density. The density of these men, and like, they all live pretty close to this area. Like, they're not, I think the furthest ones were like came from a couple hours away. Like, the fact that there's 51 of these fuckers
Just like readily available right there.
and online and finding each other is just like actually terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in court, Simoné said that he had been going through difficulties with his ex-wife, who, you know, that he was married to at the time, and he had been looking for companionship. Dominique suggested that he visit the house during the day under the pretense of discussing cycling. But I do believe that they went cycling together. Now, Simoné was found guilty of raping Giselle on the night of November 14th, 2018. He told the court, quote, "I'm not a rapist," end quote, claiming that he believed that she was pretending to be asleep and would wake up. Again, he met in that Coco chat room with Dominique, and I don't know specifically for their messages, but Dominique's number one forum that he would post on was without her knowledge.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's, you know, again, I'm not 100% sure that that's the one that they were talking on, but could have been. And if it was, it's really hard to argue that you thought she had knowledge.
Yeah.
So the court had also heard that Simoné had threatened a former partner with an axe in the past. Testimony revealed that he had experienced abuse as a teenager. He struggled with alcoholism and debt and had long-standing personal insecurities.
Okay.
His current partner, with whom he shares a young daughter, told the court that she continues to support him. He was convicted of raping Giselle of aggravated rape and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Next up, number 13, we've got Cyril, and by the way, I'm telling you guys these in no specific order. We've got Cyril Beaubis. He was 47 years old. He was a truck driver who said that he used cannabis daily, and he was accused of raping Giselle at her home in November of 2018. Investigators found video footage recorded by Dominique Pellico labeled, quote, "with Cyril from Carpentras," which is an area, and I'm sure I'm not saying it properly. And this video footage, of course, documented the assault. In court, Cyril denied committing rape and claimed that he had been manipulated by Dominique after meeting him in that online chat room. You know, he told me that she was into it and she was just asleep. He argued that he had just been misled about the whole situation, and therefore, you know, he didn't know. He didn't rape somebody. It was like Dominique that forced him to rape her because he didn't have the knowledge. Now, Cyril also told the court that he had previously engaged in sexual encounters with couples that he met through various websites, which he said contributed to his belief that the meeting had been consensual. And my question is, how many of the other couples that you had threesomes with, how many of those was there one person who was unconscious?
Because it's either none and you're a fucking idiot and a rapist, or it's multiple and you're now a rapist times multiple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, he was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Next up, we've got Redouane Azougagh. Now, Redouane was 40 years old. He was an unemployed father of 4 who was separated from his partner. And he was accused of raping Giselle twice at the Pellico home in 2019. He had prior convictions that included domestic violence, burglary, and making death threats. In court, he said he had asked Dominique Pellico whether it was normal that Giselle was snoring, and he claimed that Dominique reassured him that it was. If you have to ask, if your gut is telling you that something is weird about this unconscious woman that you're about to be recorded, you're claiming you think it's having sex with her, no, it's because it's fucking weird, dude. Like, that's why these idiots are being like,
Yeah. They're big-ass dum-dums.
I didn't intend to commit rape because I didn't know if it was weird or not that she was snoring. It's like, yeah, just because you are unclear on the details doesn't mean that you're not guilty of you fucking raped her.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, anyway. Yeah, the court heard that Redouane had grown up in a public housing estate and began using cannabis at a very young age. He also testified that he experienced sexual abuse as a child and left school at 16 years old. During the proceedings, psychiatrists discussed his mental health, with one expert suggesting that he may suffer from schizophrenia, while another concluded that he did not have schizophrenia and showed signs of a personality disorder, but it's unclear which ones, right?
Okay.
He was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Next up, we've got Cedric Venzin. He was 44 years old, a former member of the Foreign French Legion, who later worked as a restaurant manager in Corsica and was accused of raping Giselle at her home in 2016 and again in 2018. Cendric initially denied the accusation, but later acknowledged during the trial that the evidence made it impossible to dispute what had happened. He maintained that he had not gone there intending to commit rape, but he accepts the fact that it was rape. Mm-hmm. He told the court that Dominique had misled him into believing that he was participating in a consensual encounter with a couple exploring sexual fantasies. At the time, he said he believed that Giselle had consented. However, during testimony, he ultimately acknowledged that she had not been capable of doing so and apologized in court. He said the case has changed how he understood the concept of consent. How do they not know what consent is? How do they not know that an unconscious person can't consent? I don't get that, but whatever. I think it's bullshit. Like, I don't believe
like,
that
you can't believe that.
I don't know.
I just can because some people are so stupid.
Yeah, and that's why we got to be educating these boys,
Yes.
dude, and not just the girls of how to not get raped.
Right.
So he was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Next up, we've got another Redouane.
Oh.
By the way, no idea if I'm saying that name right, but I'm not looking for videos on YouTube of how to say these 51 names. That's how I have to do it with names. Is I have to find people talking about these people, because the internet gets wrong. You can't just Google how to say that. Yeah. Whatever. I can't do it for 51 people. If it was 51 victims, I would do it.
Yeah.
But for the rapist, I'm not doing it. Okay. Yeah. So we've got another Redouane El Farihi. And he is 55 years old, or he was at the time of trial. He worked as an anesthetic nurse in his home country of Morocco before immigrating to France and becoming a community nurse in Avignon. And he was accused of raping Giselle in June of 2019. Now, Redouane denied the charge during the trial. He claimed that he had been deceived by Dominique Pellicot, and he felt too intimidated by Dominique to refuse the situation once he was there. When confronted with video evidence showing the assault, he said that he had been frightened by Dominique, though he acknowledged that it didn't really appear that way on the recordings.
Yeah.
He also insisted that he did not realize that Giselle had been drugged. He believed that she was just asleep and that this was consensual.
An anesthetic nurse.
That's, dude, thank you for clocking that so quick. When questioned about how, as a trained nurse who had, his job is, watch patients under anesthesia, how he failed to recognize that she was unconscious, Redouane claimed that he believed she might have been pretending or that he had seen some slight movements. And he said that he never suspected that she had been sedated. And here's the thing is, people under anesthesia, when they first go under, don't they have slight movements until you give them, paralytic agent or something? Or how does that work?
So no, you don't have to paralyze them for the sedative to make them relax, but unless you paralyze them, they're not just gonna have no movement. So sometimes ketamine can make you rigid, but we know that's not what he was using. He was using a benzo, which just relaxes you. It doesn't paralyze you.
Yeah, so also just a side note that I read when reading about this guy is they said he was addicted to masturbating.
Oh.
So
why didn't you just do that, man?
Yeah, stick with that. Stick with that. But now I don't think you deserve to.
Right.
Cut
it off.
Yeah.
Both hands and the dick.
Yeah. And you know what? And I think we'll put them under anesthesia. We're not going to do it while they're awake. But I do feel as if, or if we could give them some sort of medicine that is the opposite of Viagra and they have to take it every day and they have to get drug tested to prove that they're taking it and it makes it so they cannot get an erection.
Yes.
I think that would be we could do that for all rapists.
For rapists, yeah.
And child molesters.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying let's torture people, but I'm saying let's just.
Kelsey's such a good person. I say torture him.
Fair. So next up, we've got Jean Turano. So he was 52 years old. He was a former roofer who was originally from the French island of Réunion. And he drove more than 2 hours from Lyon to the Pellico home on September 21st, 2018, after connecting with Dominique Pellico in an online chat room where he used the username Bill, which I don't like that. So in court, Jean denied being a rapist, and he claimed that he believed Dominique had drugged him too.
To get him there?
Yeah, he said he actually couldn't remember the assault himself. Therefore, Dominique must have drugged both of them. Now, he testified, quote, "I know I'm going to come across as either a liar or an idiot," end quote. However, he comes across as both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lying idiot, a stupid liar, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, so despite claiming that he was drugged, he was able to recall many other details about the evening. He recalled details about the layout of the house, being told to undress in the kitchen, and even seeing Giselle lying in bed. But he said that he must have been drugged by Dominique after he got there.
Sounds like his nervous system is trying to block out what he did.
Maybe. Or he's just completely full of shit.
A big liar, right.
Yes. Now, judges also reviewed several videos that showed Jean inside the house, and in one, he's shown giving a thumbs up.
To the camera?
Well,
okay, but either way, it was seen.
To the camera or to Dominique, he's giving somebody a thumbs up.
Still gross. Still fucked up.
Yeah. So when he was asked, if he thought he was drugged during this encounter, why did he never report that he had been drugged? And he said that he had simply decided to move on and forget about the encounter.
That's great.
Interesting. Which, if he really had been assaulted, I would say, okay, to each their own. However, I think that the fact that there's videos of the assault and he is convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 8 years in prison. I have not seen that video for myself, but I would imagine that video proved to all of the panel of judges that he was completely full of shit about possibly being drugged.
Yep.
Now, again, haven't seen it myself. I don't know, but that's my best guess is how I'm going to put it. So the court also heard that Jean had spent many years seeking sexual encounters with couples online, and he had previously paid for sex, though he said those experiences left him feeling uneasy. But then he did this, so okay, whatever you say, sir.
Yeah, I don't trust a word out of your fucking mouth.
Next up, we've got Mohammed Rafa, 70 years old at the time of trial, a former DJ, and he was accused of raping Giselle in May of 2019, while Giselle and Dominique were on vacation. They were staying at Caroline's vacation home on the island of Ile-de-Ré. And Dominique was asked during the trial why he would carry out assaults not only at the couple's home, but also at their daughter's holiday property, which the family normally used with their grandchildren. They would all go on big family vacations there. And he responded that there was no particular meaning behind the location and said that it simply could have happened anywhere.
I hate this man.
Now, decades before assaulting Giselle, Mohammed had also served a 5-year sentence for sexually assaulting his 17-year-old daughter in 1999. In Giselle's case, he denied knowingly committing rape, saying that he believed Dominique's wife was well aware of what was happening and that she had consented beforehand. He claimed that Dominique had tricked him, telling the court, quote, "I'm as much a victim as she is," end quote.
No.
And the court didn't see it that way, thank the Lord, because he was also convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 8 years in prison.
Amen.
I'm as much a victim as she is. What a stupid fucker to say that at this trial. For real?
Right, as if Dominique held him down, raped him first, and then made him rape her.
Yeah, what
No.
are you talking about?
No. Also, not sure about prison for him. The 5 years the first time didn't do much. He got barely more time this time.
Yeah, I feel like we should double up at least.
Yeah, at least.
All right, next we've got 36-year-old Mahdi Daoudi, which reminds me of that Snoop Dogg song, La Di Dottie.
Yes.
We likes to party. but not with Mahdi Daoudi. I'll tell you that.
No.
And by the way, I'm not making fun of how you say this person's name because I'm sure that I'm not pronouncing it properly. Like I can tell you based on the spelling that I'm not pronouncing it properly, but that's my best guess.
She's
okay?
doing her best, folks.
But Mahdi was a father of one and a transportation worker from Avignon. Now, he denied committing rape, and he argued that Dominique Pellico had misled him online by presenting the situation as a consensual meeting arranged by a couple seeking other partners, which, like we talked about last week, or I don't even know.
Whenever it was.
Last week, this week, 3 days ago. This is the fourth time me and Katie are recording at this point. But we talked about it at some point. This is true. He did present this online as a consensual thing to many of the men. And they do not have evidence in every single case that he, at least not in messages, that he told them that she was drugged.
Yeah.
We know in some cases, we see in messages, Dominique tells them that he has drugged her. We don't know that for every case. However, the point is the absence of consent is not consent.
Right.
So you cannot, it doesn't matter if she is just not saying no. You have to have a yes or you don't have consent. That's really the crux of the argument here.
Yep.
So again, it's like, yes, he might be telling the truth about that. Maybe Dominique never told him she was drugged. Maybe he said, but the point is she cannot revoke consent like Katie brought up. She cannot, the lack of consent is not consent.
Right.
And also, you stupid motherfucker, you're you don't think she would wake up even a little bit when you're literally raping her.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, I swear, like, my husband moves his foot and I'm awake. Like, I don't understand why these people just think the snoring, unconscious body is.
I mean, and she's like literally, and again, I haven't seen the videos, but I can only imagine that she's just like a completely limp body for the most part.
That's what I'm picturing.
And
which is
for them
horrible.
to say that they just think she's sleeping is absolute and utter fucking bullshit to me. And that's why, again, lack of consent is not consent.
Yep.
In it, like at all, even if she was just sleeping.
Get the verbal yes.
You have to have a yes.
Yeah.
It's either a hell yes or it's a hell no. But still, it's like, I just think they're completely full of shit that they thought she was just asleep. I think they just think, oh, well, you know what? It's her husband doing something wrong here, so I'm just not going to ask questions because it's not my problem.
Right.
And guess what, guys? That's fucking rape.
Yep.
So, yeah. Now, during the trial, Mahdi did acknowledge the suffering that Giselle had endured and expressed sympathy for her and her family. He said that the case had been devastating and described finding himself involved in a situation like this as deeply distressing, saying, quote, "One can't imagine what she has been through. She has been destroyed, and I have thoughts not only for that poor woman, but for her whole entourage and her whole family," end quote. Which, again, I agree with. You know what? I agree with that statement, that I can't imagine what she's been through. She has been destroyed. Her family has been destroyed. I have sympathy for her family, her entourage, whatever. But you partook in this, sir.
Yeah, finding yourself in the middle of this. Well, so here's the thing. Next time you don't rape anyone and then you don't find yourself in the middle of a rape trial.
Brother, seriously. But yeah, he was convicted of rape and he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Next up, we've got Patrice Nicole, 55 years old, an electrician from Carpentras, who once coached youth football. And by the way, I already know I'm saying Carpentras wrong every single time. But yeah, he was accused of raping Giselle in 2020. Now, Patrice denied this accusation, claiming that he believed the encounter was part of a consensual quote-unquote game. Now, despite video evidence showing Giselle unconscious and snoring, he seemed to stick to this story. He told the court that he had not realized that she was drugged when he visited their home in February of 2020. He said that when he remarked to Dominique that Giselle appeared to be very deeply asleep, Dominique replied that he regularly gave her pills and sometimes took her to roadside areas to meet other men. Patrice said he called Dominique sick before leaving the house. So here's the thing, is if you thought this was a consensual encounter, you think you have consensual sex with this woman, and then let's say it does start and you think it is a game, like she's pretending to be asleep. And then you, like Katie and I were just saying, how would you not realize after a while that she's not just asleep? So let's say, you start doing what you think is consensual. You realize it's not. You've realized she is not just sleeping. And so maybe you stop, which I don't know at what, if he ever stopped or if he completed this act, I don't know. What do you do when you leave the house? If you thought that was consensual, you think it's sick, you know the husband is drugging her, you did not come there to rape anyone, you are not a rapist. What do you do when you leave that house?
Call the police.
Thank you.
Immediately.
And so that's kind of the question that he gets in court is, why didn't you report the situation to police? And he said he didn't think anyone would believe him and didn't want to spend time at a police station. Now, during the trial, his current partner, who began a relationship with him after the charges were already known, told the court that he treated her very well. I tried to find what Dominique had to say about this man in particular to see if like Dominique was like, no, he's full of shit. Because Dominique calls out some of the other men who were like, oh, we didn't know that, you know, she was drugged or whatever. He's like, no, that fucker knew. Yeah. Like I told him, you know, he knew. But I couldn't find what Dominique had to say about this guy. Either way, dude, you have still raped somebody now. You are still legally culpable for that. He is convicted of rape and sentenced to 8 years. But why, like, you have to report that because not only did you witness a crime, you're not an innocent bystander. Like,
right.
And I understand why someone might be, if that happened how he said it did, which I'm not even saying I believe him.
Right.
Like, you're not an innocent bystander. You just took part. So you need to like let somebody know what actually happened. Like I would be more inclined to believe him if he had like gone straight to the police station after that and been like, something fucked up just happened and whatever. And here are the messages proving that he told me that she was just into it and she was going to be asleep or whatever. But he didn't do that. And like, guys, you got to fucking balls up when you get in one of these, like if you get in a pickle like that. That's a really crazy pickle to be in. But like, if that is what happened, this guy did not do the right thing in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Oh, and also, by the way, what Dominique was telling him about, sometimes he would take Giselle, like drugs Giselle, take her in the car, park on the side of the road, and like rape her and bring other men there. That is true.
No.
Well, I don't know. I didn't read about any videos where there were other men in the cars, but there are videos of him assaulting Giselle in the car on the side of the road. So,
did he take those videos as well? Or that was,
yeah, I mean, he must have. He must have.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Next up, we've got 31-year-old Grégory Serviol, and he was a painter and decorator with 7 prior convictions, including drug possession and driving offenses. So nothing that I read was like any violent crimes before this. So he was accused of raping Giselle in June of 2017. Now, he denied the charge, of course, and he claimed that he believed that Dominique had told him the encounter was consensual and that his wife liked to have sex while intoxicated. So at least this time he's like explaining, why she's so out a little bit.
Yeah, if someone is super fucked up, like that's the language I would have used, not sleeping, because it's more believable.
Yeah, that I agree.
Now,
in court, Serviol blamed Dominique for manipulating him and said that he had been struggling personally at the time, including coping, rejected his claims, and found him guilty. And, I'm sure it's true that he lost his daughter, and I feel for, him as a father and the mother. Yeah, again, I just don't believe that you thought she was just asleep.
No,
she was just intoxicated.
What it feels like is like all the lawyers, of course, they're all like, you gotta say you didn't know. Great. They all have the same defense. So now what they're doing is they're all taking these little things from their life. I was bullied. My daughter died, which is fucking horrible. Let me just say that. But like just taking all these things that regular people go through and just tacking it on to like make rape excusable.
Yes.
Is what it feels like.
Again, I think the whole crux of it is no matter what way you want to spin it, a lack of consent is not consent. So, by the way, like his whole argument saying, oh, I thought she was just super intoxicated. That's also consent 101.
Right.
Can't fucking get consent if someone's like so intoxicated that they're passed out.
Yeah.
So like these are just dumb. And I know I'm like, we're not even halfway through these guys. And I know I'm sounding like a fucking broken record. Like
That's
said
because
that they didn't know
do.
and blah, 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 blah. And like the point is that like their arguments don't really fucking matter.
Yeah.
Because none of them got her consent.
Yep.
So whether they didn't know or they knew or they had a suspicion or Dominique lied and said this. And you know what? Even if they fucking believe Dominique to their core because they're fucking idiots, even if they did, it does not matter. It is rape. You did not have consent, and your lack of fucking brain cells doesn't make it okay.
Yep. And
So-
that is why you're on our list.
And that is why you're on the list. Next up, we've got Abdelali Dallal, and he was 47 years old at the time of trial. He was a former canteen worker, and he admitted in court that he went to the Pellicos' home twice and raped Giselle while she was unconscious. One visit occurred in January 2018 when his then-girlfriend drove him to the village and waited in the car, believing that he was meeting a couple for a consensual sexual encounter.
And she was dropping him off to that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to judge.
Yes.
I'm not going to yuck other people's yums. I'm going to yuck his yum for raping people, but
That's really, it's a really interesting.
yes.
But channel Giselle. Okay. But yeah, the girlfriend later testified that she avoided asking any questions about the encounter and described Dallal as someone who drank heavily throughout the day. He was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 8 years. However, he did have a stroke after his arrest, which led to some major medical issues. So his sentence has been suspended.
Interesting.
Which means I don't think he's serving it right now, but I do believe like if he returns to good health at any point, he would have to eventually serve that sentence.
Wow.
Next up, we've got Omar Douiri, and he was 36 years old. He was a married mechanic who cleaned buses in Avignon, and he was accused of raping Giselle at her home in November of 2017. He had contacted Dominique in a chat room shortly before the assault, and he said he simply followed Dominique's instructions without asking any questions. And again, it's literally your job is to ask, do I have consent? Or whatever, you know what I mean? Now, he claimed he believed he was participating in a consensual encounter, and he denied that his actions constituted rape, despite Giselle Pellico appearing unconscious. He was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 8 years in prison. Next up, we've got Nicolas François, 42 years old, a freelance journalist who had worked for several local newspapers in municipal press offices. So Nicolas was accused of raping Giselle in January 2018 and of possessing illegal images involving minors. So to me, that sounds like CSAM. I don't know why it was worded that way, but I don't know what other types of illegal images involving minors there are.
Yeah.
He told the court that he had contacted Dominique through the Coco website while searching for sexual partners and claimed that he had only intended to meet Dominique, not Giselle, though video evidence contradicted this statement. So he was basically like, I just thought I was going over there to have sex with him and was surprised or whatever. But like something he said or did on the video made it very obvious that he knew Giselle was going to be there. Now, François acknowledged that he had poor judgment in going to the Pellicos' home, but denied intending to commit the assault. And again, well, you fucking committed the assault, so your intentions sometimes don't matter in this case.
Yeah.
Now, he was convicted of aggravated rape and having that child abuse imagery. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison and banned from working with children for life. Why he didn't get more time? Because like 8 years is like the most common sentence that we're going to hear here. Why didn't this guy get like at least 4 or 5 years extra for having?
Yeah, because some of them did.
I don't.
So weird.
It is weird. Now, next up, we've got Ahmed Tbarik. He was 54 years old, a plumber and a former champion boxer, married for more than 30 years with 3 children with his wife.
Wow.
Now, he was accused of raping Giselle at the couple's home in June of 2019. And he, of course, denied the charge and claimed that he believed he was participating in a consensual encounter arranged through that chat room with Dominique, whom he said he trusted and just didn't really ask any questions. In court, he argued that he was not a rapist. He had signed up for Coco because he was having less sex with his wife and that he had gone to the house after his wife went to bed, thinking that he was just meeting a couple for a threesome. He was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 8 years in prison. Next up, we've got Cyprien Culieras. He is 43 years old at the time of the trial. He was a former truck driver and a father of 1, and he was convicted of raping Giselle in her home in Mazan in 2017 and sentenced to 6 years in prison. Again, this fucker denied rape, and he said that Dominique Pellico had led him to believe that Giselle was just pretending to be asleep as a part of a sexual game. The court also heard that he grew up in children's homes and foster families and later struggled with alcohol addiction. Oh my God, I'm like getting exhausted reading these. Like they're just, first of all, like they're all just, how many of them that are just like, I didn't intend to commit rape. It's like, I just feel like it's pretty easy to just like not rape people.
No, I've been doing it my whole life. I've literally been not raping people my entire life.
Dude, I have
so
not
easy.
raped someone every day of my life.
Every single day I wake up
and
I don't rape anyone. And then I go to sleep.
Oh.
Okay, I have 2 points.
Okay.
One, it is very scary how many readily available men were around that don't fucking know or care what rape actually is. Like, he just has access to all these people, and they're like, I mean, of course, they could just all be liars. They might know, they knew that they were raping her, but there are a lot of people that I'm sure that it's true that they were like, I just didn't think that it was rape. And that scares me.
I think it's more, maybe a couple of them, like, what it is like a lack of, it's not just a lack of knowledge. Like, it's a lack of fucking decency and like the ability to think things through and like have any thought about someone outside of themselves.
Yes, I was going to say empathy. Like,
I just can't imagine. You cannot believe that this woman was just asleep. Like, I do not believe, unless someone like presented to me that one of these guys has an IQ of like, I don't know what a super low IQ is,
30.
but like, you know, where they're not functioning like a normal adult. I do not believe.
But that would show in
they
trial,
thought she
I feel
was
like.
asleep. That's what I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. But like, I just do not believe that they thought she was fucking just asleep.
No.
Maybe first couple minutes. After a couple minutes, you've got to fucking know.
Well, that's why it makes me mad that they're like, my intentions weren't to rape her. Well, then why did you continue raping her? Like, if you thought it wasn't, why didn't you stop? Because you're a rapist. Let's keep going.
Oh, I can't. This, like, I can't wait to be fucking done with this case. Dude. I genuinely can't. Okay, so next up we have 60-year-old Patrick Aaron, a former factory worker and video club owner. I did my best. I don't know what a video club is. It doesn't sound good, whatever it is.
Okay.
I don't. It's just like a weird translation thing.
So not like a Blockbuster.
Maybe. I don't know. I was thinking like a porno shop.
Okay.
But I don't know. But why club?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, he was convicted of raping Giselle and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He admitted the acts, but claimed that he had gone to Mazan hoping for a homosexual encounter with Dominique Pellico and not with Giselle. He said that he followed Dominique's instructions while waiting for that encounter to happen. Now, court evidence included Skype messages in which Dominique explicitly described drugging and abusing his wife, and Aaron replied,
okay. Fuck you.
So he's like, yeah, I just went there just to have sex. I'm actually gay. I just went there to have sex with Dominique, and I had no interest in Giselle. I was just following his instructions until we could have sex. And the messages, like, how did you not, like, didn't his attorneys know? Like, they have to have access to that evidence. I don't understand this.
I can't.
Okay, we're going to do 3 more. And then we're going to be done for the day because we are so far into this episode already. I'm going to put out a bonus episode on Monday for you guys where we are going to finally finish up this case. And I cannot wait.
And we can say good riddance after that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody, we'll wrap it up with a nice bow at the end of the episode. But everybody read Giselle's book.
Yes.
And her daughter's book. Read Caroline. Caroline's last name is Dorian. Read both their books. I mean, they're genuinely incredible. If you need a break after listening to my 5 billion hours of coverage, take a break, but come back to it. Like, their books are genuinely 2 of the best true, like, crime books I've ever read. They're just very inspiring. They're very dedicated to the cause that they're fighting for, which I actually think is different. 2 different causes that they focus on. But yeah, I cannot recommend it enough. So, okay, we've got Jean-Marc Leloup. And he was 74 years old at the time of trial. Imagine this being your fucking grandpa. Yeah, he's a retired truck driver, and he was the oldest man convicted in the case. He was found guilty of raping Giselle in May of 2017, and he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. He claimed that he believed he was participating in a sexual game and that Giselle was going to wake up at some point during the encounter, saying that he had only obeyed orders from Dominique. So whatever. He later admitted that he never alerted police even after questioning the situation afterwards. Like, he admitted, he was like, whoa, was that okay? What just happened there? Why didn't she ever wake up? Like, whatever. So, like, he knew something wrong was happening and he did nothing to stop it. Next up, we've got Florian Rocca, 32 years old, a delivery driver and a father of 3 with multiple prior convictions. He was convicted of raping Giselle in December 2019 and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Of course, he denied raping Giselle, and he claimed that he believed he was taking part in a consensual fantasy involving the couple after contacting Dominique online. Sorry, I don't mean to like make a I'm really not trying to make a joke, but it's like they all say the same fucking thing.
Right. It's embarrassing for them.
It's embarrassing because it's just a stupid ass argument.
Right.
And so for, 40 to 45 of them to make the same dumbass argument, it just gets old. So he told the court that he had drunk a bottle of whiskey that day and only sensed something was wrong toward the end, but still did not go to police. So again, you knew that you were committing a crime. Like, you knew something bad was happening and you did nothing to fucking help this woman. And not only was something bad happening, you were the something bad happening to the woman that day. So, yeah.
Do they not think that going to the police and saying, listen, I fucked up, but I didn't know and now I'm here because this needs to stop? You don't think that they're going to be easier on you than getting caught in a rape trial and now like he has video of you?
Yeah, and like if the video shows you stopping and saying, "Whoa, is she okay? Is she awake?" or like whatever's that's a great point,
even
Katie.
better.
I could see someone being like concerned that they're not going to be believed, but like there's video cameras. Fucking take one of the cameras and run out.
Yes. He's 60 years old. Bash him.
Yeah, this guy's 32, or he was, and that was in 2019. He's 32 at trial, so he was like mid-20s at the time.
I know we're sitting here in our chairs, like we don't know how we would react in that situation, but this is just proving my point that they're all rapists on purpose.
Yeah, I agree. Like they're.
Like, I know we're thinking logically right now, and maybe they weren't, but like.
And I think in their minds, for some of them, again, I don't think this applies to all of them, but I think for some of them, they don't get off on raping people.
Right.
They're not setting out to go terrify some woman and rape her and like while she's kicking and screaming. So they don't see themselves as rapists.
Yeah.
But that's not,
that's a great
that's
point.
one type of rape. That's one type of attacker.
Yeah.
You are still a rapist in this scenario. And so they think because they weren't seeking out to rape somebody that they shouldn't be held to the same accountability as someone who, whatever. And it's like, no, but you still fucking did it.
Right.
You still raped this woman. Kelsey here in bad quality because I'm recording this with my laptop microphone and not my fancy pod microphone. But I'm editing this the night before it comes out, and I wanted to add that really my point here is that, yeah, maybe they didn't go there with the intention to rape anyone. However, when provided with the opportunity on a silver platter by Dominique, they chose to move forward with raping. So I don't care what their plan was an hour beforehand. If an hour beforehand they thought it was consensual, they still had a choice. And they made the choice to commit rape. There are rapists who rape people because they want to pretend it's a consensual encounter. Like they want to convince themselves that the person that they're raping is consensual, like that this is consensual, that they're enjoying it. And it's, sometimes it's because like they can't find a consensual partner or whatever it may be. And then there's the people who get off on, someone screaming and fighting them off and being scared and whatever. And, I don't think that most of these guys, I don't think they're getting off on, someone like doing this against someone's will. It's just that they don't give a fuck whether or not it's against her will, as long as she's not kicking and screaming and fighting back.
Yeah,
they don't care. And the point is it's the same fucking thing, brother. And maybe the other guy is punching her in the face or something, but that's just assault on top of a rape.
Right.
Okay? It's the same thing. This is all rape.
Right.
Like, you're still a rapist, even if that wasn't your like thing. You know what I mean? You still raped somebody. And that's what I think that these men don't get.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for today. We've got Quentin Hennebert. So Quentin was 34 years old at the time of trial. He was a prison warden who had also worked as a police officer at one point and later as an ambulance driver.
Great.
So he's going to have a really good time in prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was convicted of raping Giselle in November 2019, and he was sentenced to 7 long years in prison. Those are going to be long years for him, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He said that Dominique had told him that he had a female friend who fantasized about pretending to be asleep. Hennebert later admitted that once back in his car, he realized something was wrong because Giselle had not moved the entire time. But he said he was too ashamed to call police. Man, sir, you were an officer of the law. You know this was rape. And again, how you could wait until the entire encounter is over to realize something was wrong, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Personally. And yeah, you raped her. You didn't call for help. You didn't do anything to help this woman. And you know the law. So
these fucking idiots just think like a little sympathy sprinkled on is going to change the law.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that is where we're going to stop for today's episode because we literally had to record this on 2 separate occasions. I'm going to put out a bonus episode on Monday where we are going to finish this up. We've gotten through the first 30 men. We've got 21 to go, but it's going to be quicker than today's episode, I think. I don't know. I keep fucking saying
I
that.
won't be there to yap with you.
Yes. Katie will not be able to record again before then. So it'll be quicker. We're going to get through these guys. It is still, you want to tune in. I still have a handful of things to go over that we have not touched on that I think are very interesting. Talking about the Coco FR site, talking and like what happened there because that shit got shut down and I'm pretty sure that it's a whole thing. There's also a man who files an appeal. So we've got to talk about his appeal and what Giselle has to say about it and all these things. And yeah, every single one of these men, I know a lot of this is like their claims are repetitive, but I think it's really important to, again, shame them, name them, shame them. Giselle wants shame to change sides. I don't know how we can do that if we're not naming these men in all the articles. I'm also going to list all of the names in the show notes just because I sure as hell know I'm not pronouncing them properly. So I will list them all in the show notes. Just keep in mind that they're not all convicted of rape. I just don't want it to be like I cannot accuse people of things that they did not do. So I've made it clear in the episode whether it was sexual assault, rape, or attempted rape, but I'm not going to list that all in the show notes. It's going to be a lot of text just to put the 51 names. So yeah, check out Monday's episode. I'm sure it will probably be close to an hour still. And then Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day. Otherwise, you would just be getting part 4 on Tuesday, and that would be next week's episode. But I already had an episode recorded for you guys for St. Patrick's Day. It is about an Irishman, a legendary Irishman.
Wow.
And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. It's, what happens to this guy is sad, but it is one of those stories that you can't help but have a good laugh at points. And I think it's going to be it's going to be a nice break after this Giselle Pellico case. Yeah. So make sure to check that out. If you guys want to listen ad-free, you can subscribe to Patreon. The link is in the show notes. And yeah, thank you. Everybody thank Katie in the comments for being a sweet angel and recording 4 separate times with me. I think we've probably recorded like 8 hours in total.
I could not believe that the length of time that you said our last one was. I could not believe.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to me yap for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I appreciate you so much. Bye.